Big week of preparation for obviously a very important Pac-12 South contest. Obviously, the winner of this game controls the Pac-12 South and virtually their own destiny. Coach McIntyre brings in a really good Colorado football team that's very well coached. Offensively, I've been very impressed with Steven Montez. His progression and his growth from 2 years ago when we first saw him in the Coliseum to where he is now. I think as good a decision maker maybe in our league right now. 75% completion ratio, 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, really distributing the ball nice. And man, does he have a great target and LaVisca averaging 141 yards a game and doing a great job. McMillan, the back, I think is a really good in between the tackle back, providing 100 yards a game. And really a balanced offense between the quarterback who can create and throw, a talented receiving core, and a bruising running game. It's one of the reasons they're putting up 39 points a game. Defensively, this 3-4 front is really doing a nice job of keeping the backers, the 2 interior linebackers in Landman and Gamboa off, and they're their leading tacklers. You look at those front 3, the big men, and they're doing a wonderful job of being able to diagnose and getting through run lanes. And then Mustafa Johnson is a tackle for loss nightmare right now. He leads their team in sacks, but between him and Landman, you're talking about 16 tackles for loss between the 2 of them. From a personnel standpoint, obviously, everybody saw Bubba Bolden's statement. Bubba's no longer enrolled at the university. I'm wishing nothing but the best. Good player, good kid, and hope for a very bright future for him. I know it will be. Beyond that, out of respect to him, I can't have any further comment. Injury-wise, we have Malik with a little bit of an ankle that he had last week. You saw him working today. He's fighting through that. Looked good today. Porter's dealing with a little bit of an ankle. He got held for a couple periods, but looked good today. Jay Tufeli is going was in a car accident when he got back, and when he was at home, he was a passenger. We're just being precautionary, and I'm putting through our protocol of just making sure he's okay. We'll see where he is later in the week. Talanoa came back off a quad injury. Levi still is dealing with illness. Raymond Scott had a successful finger surgery where a couple screws were put in. You saw him cast it up. We'll see where he is later in the week to see if he can play. Clayton Bradley's being held for a lower back injury. Bernard Shermer is being held for a neck, and Amon Ra was back off a shoulder. Looked good today. With that, I'll take any questions that you got.
How'd you spend your bye week?
A couple twofold. I got to watch a lot of football, a lot of Colorado. Enjoyed the Arizona State Colorado game and got to see that, and was a football fan for a little bit. Got to watch Oklahoma, Texas, and watched a lot of Colorado defense. Me and Miss Angela called it a date. She wanted a date. She got to watch a lot of Colorado film with me.
What was the main takeaway from the self-scout?
For me, and I went over it with our team coming into this week, just a really brutally honest self-evaluation of what I think we need to do as an entire team. Defensively, what stood out to me was the takeaways. Being able to, if we truly want to separate from people, that we have to do what we did in the Arizona game, getting that turnover, went from a 1-score game to a 2-score game. That's how you separate from people. That's one thing. Offensively, I thought it was consistency. After viewing all the tape and all the games, we're really starting fast right now. You look at the last 3 games, you have two 75-yard drives and a 95-yard drive within the first 2 series. But the consistency of the play needs to improve, and was very honest with them. We had an opportunity in the Arizona game to go up 24-0, balls 1st and 10 on the 13-yard line, and to be able to have that killer instinct of putting the game away right then and there rather than a turnover. Special teams wise, I'm very pleased of where we've been, what we've been doing the last 2 games. The one thing I don't want to see is a lapse like we had at Texas that cost us cost us a game. Instead of being a one-score game, all of a sudden it turns into a three-score game after a blocked field goal. And then, from a coordinator standpoint, I challenged our coordinators to make sure that we stay aggressive at all times. Play with no fear, call it like, play to win. And be aggressive in all moments. Position coach-wise, I told them that I want them to be very critical of fundamentals and technique, that I don't want to see poor hand placement that lead to penalties. And then player-wise, hold everybody accountable when it comes to decision making. So those are the things that I went over with the entire team. Was just very brutally honest, showed them the mistakes on tape, and then we'll go through this week and show them in practice the improvement, hopefully, that will carry over to Colorado.
How much are you stressing the need for a clean game penalty-wise this week?
I think it's, when you're playing a team that's 5-0 and you're playing an offense that puts up 39 points, you cannot waste a possession. You have to be able to get them off the field, which they've been very good in keeping drives alive, spreading the ball around. But you've got to get off the field on third down. You cannot give them the opportunity with a penalty to get a first down, and you've got to keep the ball away from them. They've worn teams down. You look at what they've done in the second half. They've been close games. Then all of a sudden, they edge their way, and they've worn team outs at the end of the game. So to be able to play ball control and keep it away from them, penalties are going to be key. You can't have 18 of them, I know that, or you'll lose a game.
How'd JT's ball look after getting a week off?
I thought Monday and Tuesday was really good, Joe. I thought, the rest helped. I thought he put a little bit of strength and conditioning in it. We're monitoring pitch count too, just to make sure he gets the work that is needed. We got 8 games here, and this will be the most balls he's probably thrown in his entire life in a season. But I thought the last 2 days have been very good. Looks fresh.
He says he's trying to perfect his deep ball. How tough is that to do, in figuring out with each receiver, what, just how fast they get into their routes, when to let go of it, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think a lot of it, when you talk about deep ball, part of it is being able to see the release and see if they get on top, see what type of ball you have to throw. One of the best things that he does, as we've seen early, is the back shoulder ball. He's about as good as I've seen with it. The thing that I think he's trying to perfect is kind of dropping it in the bucket. When they get on top of the defender, to be able to lead them out there, and that is a judgment with each and every receiver, and that's something that you work and hopefully progress through the season and get better at each one. The one thing that I do know is we got some very fast people that are going to create that situation of getting behind defenders, and I credit him. Each kid comes out here to try to get better at something. Don't lean on your strengths, lean on an area that you want to grow in, and he's trying to grow in that area.
Not a Bubba question, but that first week of the season where he's named the starter and then all of a sudden he's gone. Is that something that you guys had no idea was coming? Did it just like boom, he's gone?
I can't
even go there
on anything with it.
Okay.
Scott.
Oh, just wondering if there's any hope for Daniel to come back, after baby.
Right now, I know that he's trying to progress, and like I said, I'm making an investment, whether it's 1 week or 1 year, to make sure that he's comfortable in his own skin and his own body, and he feels comfortable enough to play a very, fast game, a game that's violent, and a game that he wants to be great at. When we first started this season, we sat down and said, hey, we're going to make this investment, but I'm more worried about you than you forcing something and coming back early. When you're medically cleared and you feel comfortable enough, those are the two things that have to happen. And when he feels comfortable, he'll be back out here. And I'm not going to force it, and I'm not going to push it. I'd rather lose ball games than ever have a kid feel uncomfortable about playing.
How is JT?
Last question.
How is JT in comparison to Sam at this point of his career dealt with the pressure compared to him?
I think he's dealt with pressure phenomenally. I'll be honest, I really, to be where he's at in his first year, Sam, when he started, was in his second year, but to be able to have one training camp under your belt where you were competing, then you win the job. Now you're growing with each game. I've been very pleased, especially with the last 2 games. You think about playing at Washington State, with the precision that he played with that game, and then going on the road and not making the critical error, decision-making wise, in the passing game. That's 2 games in a row with 0 interceptions, not turning the ball over in the passing game, and being able to distribute the ball to his wide receivers. He's a critical reason why we've won the last 2. All righty, guys, thank you so much.